Hello and welcome to this Yin Yoga practice. My name is Robin and I'll be guiding you through a series of postures targeting our spine. For those of you who may not be familiar with Yin Yoga, it's a little bit different than the traditional, more dynamic practices where we're trying to engage our muscles and be very active. Yin is much more slow and meditative, and we're targeting the connective tissues surrounding our bones and joints. These are less elastic than our muscles, so we hold the postures for between 3 and 5 minutes to really increase that elasticity and therefore increase our mobility. So we have 3 principles, 3 S's of Yin Yoga. The first one is sensibility. We come into each posture slowly and mindfully, and we stop at the first sign of any sensation. We call that our edge. We never want to push past that edge into a place of pain. The second S is stillness. When we come into these postures, we slow down and let gravity do the work on those connective tissues. Now, it's always okay while we're trying to find stillness. If things get a little bit too intense, you can always back out of the posture. Or you may find as you hold it for 3 to 5 minutes that your edge becomes a little bit deeper. Now, either one is perfectly fine, but overall, we're trying to cultivate a sense of stillness in the practice. And our third S, our third principle, is stay. So once again, we stay in these postures for about 3 to 5 minutes because that's what we need to increase the elasticity of the fascia, the connective tissue surrounding the bones and the joints. You may want to have some props on hand. I have a yoga bolster, but if you don't have one of those, a pillow or a couch cushion will work just as well. You may also want to have a block or two. If you don't have blocks, that's fine. A very thick book or maybe a stack of books will also do the trick. And maybe a blanket. I always like to have a blanket under my neck when we're on our backs. And you may find if you're tight in the hips that you like to sit up on a blanket when we're in a seated position. So you may want to pause the video while you gather any props. Then we'll begin in Shavasana. I always like to begin and end a practice in Shavasana. I think it brings things full circle. So just make yourself comfortable lying on your back, using any props to make yourself as comfortable as possible as we prepare ourselves for practice. So as you settle in, bring your focus inwards. The practice of Yin is very inward focused. Think about what brought you to your mat today. You may wish to set an intention for your practice. Something that you'd like to cultivate over the next hour or so. Allow your awareness to come to your breath, noticing without judgment the rhythm of your breath as it flows in and out through the nose. Notice any other feelings that may be present in your body. Where your body comes into contact with your mat, the temperature of the air against your skin, the touch of your clothing. Now bring your awareness to your heart, checking in with your emotions just as they are right now. Notice what feelings are arising without judging yourself for what's there. Allow your awareness to rise to the point right between your eyes, what we call the third eye. Beginning to notice any thoughts that are arising. Don't try to stop the thoughts or change them. Just notice them. Let them float away like a cloud. As you move throughout today's practice, you may want to keep taking inventory like this as you move into each posture. Approach each posture with a sense of curiosity, noticing how each one affects you physically, emotionally, and mentally. When you're ready, taking your time to come up into a gentle seated position. Maybe rolling over onto one side, pressing up into the hands, and slowly taking your time to come to seated. Once again, as we make the transition to seated, you may want to fold up a blanket or sit up on a pillow or bolster. It can help tilt the hips forward, taking some of the pressure off. Once we're upright, we'll begin to move into our first posture, which is butterfly. Bringing the soles of the feet together in front of your body. This is a little bit wider than a bound angle pose that we might find in a traditional yoga practice. So we're making a diamond shape with the legs. Well, this practice is focused on our spine, so we're not too concerned with whether or not the knees make it to the floor. You may even want to shove a pillow or blanket under the knees if that makes you more comfortable. As we sit here, begin to lengthen through the spine and slowly begin to tilt the pelvis forward and fold towards the ground. Allowing the spine to round and maybe dropping the head as long as it's comfortable for your neck. If anything is not comfortable, please listen to your body and do whatever works for you. You can fold as far as you want, remembering to stop at that first sign of sensation, finding our edge. And we'll be here for about 5 minutes, so you may notice as you breathe into the posture that you sink deeper into the pose. Or you may not, and either one is fine. We're approaching this practice with a sense of curiosity, so we're just noticing, just observing, no judgment. taking some time as you breathe here. Noticing any sensations throughout the body. Maybe seeing if you can create space with your inhale. And relax with every exhale. Noticing if this posture brings up any emotions for you. Again, noticing any thoughts that are present. Letting them float away like a cloud. It's very natural as we're in these periods of stillness for thoughts to arise. But there's no need to judge them. Just let them come and go. Keeping the focus on the breath coming in and out through the nose. Begin to release our butterflies. Walking the hands up, slowly lifting the torso. As a counter pose, we'll bring the hands behind us with the fingers facing forwards. Placing the feet flat on the floor, about the mat distance apart. We'll just take a couple of minutes to windshield wiper the legs after that deep stretch. When you're ready, we'll move into our next posture, just caterpillar or seated forward fold. I'm going to shift my body so that you can see me better, but you're welcome to stay right where you are. So once again, sitting up on a blanket or pillow, if that's comfortable. We'll extend the legs out in front of us. Now, if you're tight in the hamstrings, you can also slide a bolster or rolled up blanket underneath the knees. Just finding whatever options make you feel most supported. The feet are neither flexed nor pointed. There's no effort. And from here, lengthening through the spine, begin to fold forward over the legs. Letting the spine round and the head drop if that feels comfortable for you. Meeting yourself wherever you are. A wise yoga teacher once told me, just as water fills the shape of the container into which it is poured, allow the pose to fill the shape of your body. We often confuse this analogy, thinking that the body needs to conform to the shape of the pose, but this isn't true. Your body, is the perfect container. So allow the pose to pour into you. We all are different shapes and sizes, have different bone structures. So one pose isn't going to look the same for any of us. That's why in Yin, we find what works for us and only us. Let go of any judgments or comparison. Maybe just doing that check-in again. Noticing if you're carrying any tension anywhere. Seeing if it can be released by directing your breath into that area of your body. Aside from physical sensations, noticing what emotions or thoughts are present, just observing. we prepare to transition out of this pose, slowly lift the head and lengthen the spine. Come back to an upright seated position. If you have any props, moving those to the side. And for a counter pose, leaning back into the hands, bending and straightening the elbows. When you're ready, we'll transition onto our bellies for Sphinx pose. So swinging the legs around, coming onto our belly. Legs are extended. Arms are bent beside you, and we'll gently press up into the forearms to find our Sphinx. Well, if this is uncomfortable for you in your low back, you can widen the legs. And if you need a little bit more support for the chest, you can slide a rolled up blanket or a bolster underneath your armpits. For a little more stability. We'll be here for about 2 minutes, and then I'll give you the option to press up into a seal pose. But for now, we're just enjoying this back bend, compression of our lower spine, putting some positive stress on the joints. So again, we're targeting the fascia that surround our joints, increasing elasticity and mobility. Sure your neck is in a comfortable position, and that might be different for all of us. So if it's not comfortable for you to lift the gaze, you can keep the neck more neutral. Because again, it's not about making our bodies fit the pose, it's making the pose fit our bodies. Welcome to stay here in Sphinx if this is where you are today. If you'd like a little bit more compression in the spine, slowly press up into the hands, finding a seal pose. Experimenting with the position of your hands, maybe widening them, finding what's going to work best for you. In addition to the compression in the spine, this pose is also a chest opener, a heart opener. You may notice the breath coming fully into your lungs as you breathe into the pose. time this gets too intense, you can always lower back onto the forearms, finding Sphinx again. When you're ready, and slide away any supports that you have, and just release your head onto the floor. Maybe bringing the arms out to a T and just hugging the earth. Enjoying the sensation of gravity pulling you down to the floor. Noticing if there are any areas of tension or sensation. Just letting them surrender to gravity in this moment. When you're ready, bringing the palms to rest on the mat just beside your shoulders. And we'll press up, sitting back on the heels into a child's pose. And we'll rest here for just a few breaths. If your wrists are bothering you at this time, you may bring the hands to your sides and rest the backs of your hands on the mat so that your elbows are bent upwards, sort of like chicken wings. It's a great rehab for the wrists. Slowly begin to press back up to a seated position. We'll begin to transition to our next posture, which is a supported bridge. So you want to have a block handy, or that thick book or a stack of books. We'll come onto the back, finding a constructive rest pose. So the knees are bent, the feet are flat on the floor. Grounding all four corners of the feet into your mat. Slowly begin to engage the glutes and the quads and lift the hips up off the floor. We'll grab our blocks, just begin to slide it right into your sacrum, right where the sacrum meets the pelvis. Now you want the back to be sort of not supported at this time. And we'll rest here. Some options that you have. If you like a little bit more intensity, you can let the legs straighten on the floor in front of you. Maybe bringing the arms above your head for a deeper back bend. Whatever option you take, just allowing yourself to breathe fully. Checking in with your body once again. Are you clenching any muscles? Carrying any tension? What would happen if you allow it to release? Another posture where our chests and hearts are open to the sky. Maybe taking notice of what feelings or emotions are present. It's perfectly normal to be distracted by thoughts in this practice. Just gently draw the focus back to the air coming in and out through the nose. Your legs are extended. Bend the knees, bringing the bottoms of the feet back to the floor. Bringing the arms to rest by your sides if they're not already there. Very gently lifting up off of the block, sliding it out of the way and releasing your spine back to the floor. It may feel good to just hug the knees into the chest. Or maybe you'd prefer to rock back and forth. Gently rolling out the spine. Release the feet back to the floor. We'll be staying on our backs for a banana pose. So extending the legs out on the mat. We'll reach the arms up above your head. And with your right hand, grab the left wrist. And gently begin to draw the left arm towards the right side of your mat, making sort of a crescent pose for the top half of our banana. And then begin to walk the feet towards the right corner of your mat, in the bottom half of the banana. You may want to experiment with the position of your feet. You can stay where you are. If you cross the right leg over the left, you may find that gives you a little bit more stability. Or crossing the left foot over the right will give you a little bit of a deeper stretch along the left side body and the IT band of your left leg. And just settling in, whichever feels best for you. Relaxing any tension. And just breathe. Maybe checking in with yourself again, noticing what's present physically, emotionally, mentally. Meeting yourself right where you are. Your feet are crossed. Slowly uncross them. Begin to walk the feet back to the center. And release the arms back to center. We'll move into banana on the other side. So with your left hand, grab the right wrist. Begin to draw the right arm to the left. And then start to walk your feet towards the left corner of your mat. Again, finding your options here. Maybe crossing the left foot over the right for a more stable banana. Crossing the right over the left for a slightly deeper stretch. Whenever we do postures on both sides, we may notice that one side feels different from the other. In keeping with our practice of curiosity, that's nothing to judge, it's just something to observe, something to notice. May vary from day to day or even moment to moment. Breathing deeply into the right side of your body. Seeing where you can release, where you can surrender. Slowly, mindfully begin to release. So, uncrossing the feet, bringing the legs back to center, bringing the arms back to center, letting them rest by your sides. Find again a constructive rest pose. The knees are bent, the feet are flat on the floor, about hip distance apart. Extend the arms out into a T position. On your next inhale, slightly lift the hips and send them over to the left, letting the knees fall to the right. If it's more comfortable for you, you may want to slide a blanket or pillow in between the knees. Just resting back, letting gravity do all the work. Your gaze can be wherever is most comfortable for your neck, whether it's either over one shoulder or the other, or up towards the sky. The chest is open, the shoulders are melting towards the floor, whether they get there or not. Allow yourself to breathe. As we breathe into a twist, we massage the internal organs, the organs of digestion. Twisting first the right, we're encouraging the path of digestion that moves through the intestines. Very gently and mindfully begin to release the twists, helping the knees back up to the center, recentering the hips. As we begin to move on into the twist on the other side. Inhaling, slightly lifting the hips, sending the hips to the right. Letting the knees drop over to the left. Using any props that will give you the support that you need in this posture. Like to close a practice with a twist, especially a practice like this where we've been engaging the spine. The twisting motion wrings it out. As though we're wringing out a wet cloth. Again, as we breathe into a twist, we're massaging those internal organs, calming our central nervous system as we prepare for our final relaxation. Constantly checking in with the body, noticing what's present. Is there any tension that can be released? Begin to release our twist on this side, so helping the knees back to center, recentering the hips. I'll invite you now to take any final movements that might feel good to you before we find our Shavasana. So maybe you'll want to hug the knees into the chest again, rocking side to side, circling the knees in one direction, the other. Whatever you need. When you're ready, beginning to make the transition into Shavasana, our final resting pose. You may want to support behind the head and neck. Maybe a bolster or a folded blanket under the legs. You can keep them bent for less pressure on the lower spine. Or extend them out in front of you. The palms can be facing towards the sky for a more receptive posture. Palms down on the mat for more grounding. Just finding stillness wherever you are. Coming full circle in this practice where we began. Noticing how you feel right now in this moment. Noticing any differences from when we began. These differences aren't good or bad, they're just things we can observe. Bringing the focus to the breath. Without forcing it, try to deepen your breath. Maybe picturing the breath as a magical substance. Breathing in joy with every inhale and relaxing with every exhale. Rest back, taking inventory once more. What sensations are present for you, physically, emotionally, mentally. And as you rest, knowing that if you find yourself distracted by thoughts, you can always bring your attention gently back to your breath, back into the present moment. Breathing in joy with every inhale and relaxing into every exhale. Taking a few deep breaths. Maybe beginning to make some gentle movements with the hands and the feet. Maybe taking a nice, deep, full body stretch before rolling over to one side, taking a few breaths before slowly making your way to a comfortable seated position. Taking your time to arrive back and seated. Once you've arrived back in a comfortable seated position, take a deep inhale, sweeping the arms up above the head, palms meet. And exhale, drawing your hands down the center of your body, meeting to rest in front of your heart. You take a few breaths to reflect on the intention if you set one. Thank yourself for coming to your mat today, for taking this time away from your busy day for some self-care. Give thanks to your body for telling you exactly what it needs, for carrying you through this life. I wish you all health, happiness, and peace. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the mat again soon. Until next time.